Hello friends and welcome to operations management videos at edupediaworld.com, your virtual world of free education. This session we shall continue with facility location, and today we'll see the factors affecting location decisions. Alright, so now let's look at some of the important factors affecting location decisions. The factors are enormous. There are several factors which affects the location decisions. We will take some of the most prominent ones and briefly discuss them. The factors to be taken into account depends on the type of industry to be located. Thus, the factors important for locating a steel plant may be different from the factors to be considered in locating a computer assembly plant. So there are some general and some specific factors. At the same time, there are some factors which are within the control of an individual and others which are uncontrollable. However, the general factors affecting the location of plant or facilities are enlisted here, and we shall discuss them one by one. The first one is the capital. Now this is the most important, or we could say one of the important factors for a facility location. Because any decision you take is based on the amount of money available or which could be made available. The amount of capital required at a certain location is an important factor in facility location. By looking at capital as a long-term condition, it is important to distinguish the physiology of fixed capital in buildings and equipments from the financial capital. Fixed capital costs as building and construction costs vary from region to region, but on the other hand, building can also be rented and existing plants can be expanded. Financial capital is highly mobile and does not very much influence decisions. Capital becomes a main factor when it comes to venture capital. Okay, so the importance of capital as a factor affecting decision is evident, and we need not overemphasize it because every decision we take is based on the capital available. The next important factor is the availability of suitable land and the land cost. Although the cost of land is usually a minor factor in location of a plant, it's still one which is to be considered. There are other reasons for that. In the communities that are interested in attracting new plants, land may be offered at a reduced price or at no cost, and many a times government promoting business or industries in their state invite industrialists and give them lands at throwaway prices. But availability of land and availability of other important factors in the vicinity of that land is something which plays a significant role. So coming now to the infrastructure availability, the basic infrastructure facilities are prominent factors in deciding the location. Infrastructure includes all the allied and general facilities like water supply, waste disposal facility, roads, railways, power, etc. So let's look at them one by one. Coming to water supply. Adequate water supply is necessary for almost all kinds of plants. Water is necessary for all kinds of plants. However, some plants heavily depend on water supply. For example, the thermal power plant or hydroelectric power plant, steel power plant, all of these needs lots of water for its day-to-day operations. This needs the plant to be located near to some water resource like lake, river, reservoir, or so on. So again, adequate water supply is one of the basics, one of the basic factors which affects the location decision. Next is the power supply. It is desirable to have power supply at low cost for the operations of the plant. Some companies prefer to maintain their own standby power station. Certain type of industries are power hungry. Example, the steel industry, the aluminium industries, and they should be located close to the power station or location where uninterrupted power supply is assured throughout the year. The non-availability of power may become a survival problem for many industries. These days, it's in fact the backbone of any industries. Without power, no industry can survive or stay for a long time. Therefore, special attention needs to be taken in case of power supply. One should look at the availability of power supply before selecting a location. Now coming to the environmental and the pollution factors, these are one of the important factors as far as the modern industries are concerned. In fact, a company should be responsible towards humanity and towards their progeny and take care of the pollution. At the same time, try to maintain the environment. They must see to it that they do not pollute their surroundings, they do not cut down trees, and they do not pollute the water which is used by the population for drinking or for agricultural purpose. Companies especially dealing in chemicals and fertilizers, leather, and all the related industries should take care of the waste going out of their plant. As far as the location decision is concerned, the company must take care that they do not locate near the population if they are dealing in materials which are harmful to the people. Say for example, if they are dealing in radioactive materials. At the same time, they should also see to it that they do not cut down trees. Rather, they should seek some green technology so that they could maintain the ecosystem and the environment. Anti-pollution law should be followed to avoid water pollution, and conservation of the environment should be their priority when selecting a location. Coming to water disposal and pollutions. Waste materials dumped into the river or stream may create problem for new companies needing supply of fresh and pure water. This would also be a problem for people, for agriculture, for animals, and all living beings. For example, companies manufacturing antibiotics or steel or chemicals and fertilizers, and all those who are using radioactive materials are confronted with water disposal problem. They must treat the waste water coming out of their plant before they leave it into any water body. Most countries have laws to prevent the companies from dumping the industrial waste into river. As far as the location decision is concerned, a company must take extra precaution in locating themselves away from human existence or from areas which would be harmed by their waste materials if left out in the open environment. Same is the case with solid waste disposal. The companies must take special care, especially if they are dealing with radioactive materials or the waste coming out of the electronic goods and so on. And they should see to it that they do not locate themselves and they do not dump their solid waste in and around the human dwelling place. Alright, the next most important factor affecting location are the transportation. As we know that by having efficient transportation system, we can save on the time and the cost in reaching to the customers. At the same time, we can get the raw materials transported to the manufacturing center at the earliest with the lowest cost. We can also cut down the cost on lots of storage. So proper transportation system is again another important factor. Speedy transport facilities ensure timely supply of raw materials to the companies and finished goods to the customers. The transport facility is a prerequisite for the location of the plant. And we know that there are 5 basic modes of physical transportation. They are the air, railways, roadways, waterways, and pipeline. Goods that are mainly intended for export demand a location near to the port or large airport. So the choice of transport method and hence the location will depend on the relative cost, convenience, and suitability. Thus, transportation cost to value added is one of the criteria for plant location. Coming next is the proximity to good highways. In addition to the benefits of having good transportation facilities, highways further add into convenience of the workers, of the subcontractors, and all the people who are related to that industry or that company. because this is the means of transport for the common masses. So proximity to good highways is again very important as far as the location decisions are concerned. This consists of quality of highway system, its relationship to markets, raw materials and labor supply. It is obvious that availability of interstate superhighways make the suburbs, small communities and country easily accessible. Same is the case with the railways, seaport, airport and so on. If you have got good railways, that will always aid the good highways. Seaport and airport would lead to ease in export and import. The next important set of factors for location decision are the abundance in labor supply. Labor could at times be the most important factor. The reason cheap and abundant labor could be vital to the survival of an industry and also the labor environment. It's always preferable to locate the plant in an area where we have skilled, semi-skilled and unskilled labor, and they should be available in abundance. In addition, a favorable labor climate may be the most important factor in location decision for labor intensive firms. Labor climate includes wage rates, training requirements, their attitude towards work, workers' productivity and the union strength. Location of facility will also depend on these factors. Many executives consider weak union or a low probability of union organization effort as a distinct advantage, and the reasons are obvious. Alright, now coming to the next set of factors. These are nearness to an existing plant, proximity to the market, nearness to raw materials and supplies, and so on. Coming to nearness to an existing plant, in certain type of industry, it is advisable to keep the new plant reasonably close to the parent plant. Thus, the truck assembly plant can be kept close to a steel plant because the two plants can act as complementary to each other. Product of one becomes the raw material for the other. One can see why Telco and Tata Steel in Jamshedpur are located near to each other. This way, executive supervision and staff consultations can be made common and cost reduction will be possible. Engineers and executives can make frequent trips to do the consultation and supervision work. Coming to proximity to the markets, every company is expected to serve its customer by providing goods and services at the time needed and at reasonable price. When the buyers for the product are concentrated, it's advisable to locate the facilities close to the market. Nearness to market ensures a consistent supply of goods to customers and it reduces the cost of transportation. So the customers get the product in the timely manner, at the same time at a reduced cost. For service organization, it's extremely important to locate the plant near the customers, because the service could only be rendered to the customer if they are at that place, if they are located at that place. Manufacturing firms too find it useful to be close to customers when transporting finished goods is expensive or difficult due to their bulkiness or fragility. We know that it's obvious and it's always beneficial to locate the plant near to their actual customers. There could be some limitations to it, however, it's always beneficial. Further, with the trend towards just-in-time production, suppliers want to locate near users to speed up deliveries. Further, locating near markets is particularly important when the outbound transportation rates are high. Now, locating nearer to the market is preferred if the products are delicate and susceptible to spoilage. After-sales services are promptly required very often. Transportation cost is high and increases the cost of the product significantly. And if the shelf life of the product is low. Okay. Next is nearness to raw materials and suppliers. It is essential for the organization to get raw materials in the right quantities and time in order to have an uninterrupted production. This factor becomes very important if the materials are bulky or perishable and the cost of transportation is very high. One principle could be weight balancing. That is, relative cost of transporting raw materials must be weighed against the cost of shipping the finished products. This is the reason why most of the steel plants in India are located in the region where coal or iron ores, which are their basic raw materials, and other raw materials are available. If the raw materials are processed from variety of locations, the plant may be situated so as to minimize the total transportation cost. Another important factor could be added to this list, and that is the location of competitors. One complication in estimating the sales potential at different locations is the impact of competitors. Management must not only consider the current location of competitors, but also try to anticipate their reaction to the firm's new location. Avoiding areas where competitors are already well established often pays. However, in some industries, such as new car sales showroom, fast food chains, and so on, locating near the competitor is actually advantageous. Why? Because the market there is known for that product, and people who intend to buy such product or take such services do come to that market. So if you are staying away from that market, it will prove to be disadvantageous. Well, another one which we missed is the supporting industries and services. Nowadays, the manufacturing organization do not make all the components and parts by itself, but subcontract the work to different vendors. So, the source of supply of component parts will be one of the factors that influence the location. The various services like communications, banking services, professional consultancy services, other civil amenities will play a vital role in selection of a location. It all depends on what kind of industry we are dealing with. Alright, the next set of factors affecting location decisions are the allied ones like the government policy and taxes, space for future expansion, climatic conditions, community attitude, local administration, and amenities. Coming to the government policy, the policies of the state government and the local bodies concerning labor laws or building codes, safety, etc. are the factors that demand attention. In order to have a balanced regional growth of industries, both the central and the state governments in our country offer the package of incentives to entrepreneurs in particular location. The incentive package may be in form of exemption from a certain tax and excise duties for a certain specified period, or maybe soft loans from financial institutions, subsidy in electricity charges, and investment subsidy. Some of these incentives may tempt to locate the plant to avail these facilities offered. So again, government policies are important, and it shows how favorable the government is towards that particular kind of industries and how much willingness they have to promote such industries. Taxes again forms a part of the same. Kinds and amounts of taxes, example excise duty, sales tax, income tax, etc., which are levied by a state, should also be considered in locating a plant. The kind of taxes and the basis for fixing them should be investigated beforehand. Some states and territories offer tax exemption for a stipulated period of time to attract the investors to set up their plants to produce certain priority products. Other important factors that may emerge include utility cost, for example the cost of the telephones, water, electricity, and so on, the local and state taxes, financing incentives offered by local or state government, relocation cost, land taxes, and so on. Alright, now moving ahead to space for future expansion. Demand of products is dynamic in nature, and we all are aware of it. At the same time, the taste of the customers also vary from time to time. It may be required to increase the production capacity of the plant in future if the demand increases, or change the product altogether if the demand is very low and if the taste of the customer has changed. Thus, there should be an adequate space for future expansion or diversification of the plants. Next is the climatic conditions. Companies requiring controlled temperature or humidity and ventilation should consider the climatic factors while locating the plants. The geology of the area needs to be considered together with climatic conditions like humidity, temperature, and so on. Even the choice of the executives may affect the plant location. Climates generally influence human efficiency and behavior to a greater extent. And that is the reason we see that many companies prefer going to places which are relatively cooler. Coming to community attitude, local administration and amenities, we see that local authorities and people should be willing to have the plants located in their area. A good example was the location of Tata Nano plant in West Bengal. Community should also provide the necessary municipal services, example, protection against fire, police services, maintenance of the street, waste disposal, etc. People's attitudes differ from country to country, region to region, and from town to town. What it could be in a small town may not be the same in a city, and what it is in the rural area may not be the same in the urban area. So a company, before taking a decision on the location, should take care of these and see that they locate in a conducive and favorable environment. Lastly, coming to the amenities and access to a community infrastructure such as educational, healthcare, and recreational facilities are all the most important for quality of life. It makes sense to pick up a town or locality that will provide the best services and living conditions for their employees and their families. Excellent schools, parks, hospitals, residential areas, recreational facilities, cultural events, and an attractive lifestyle should contribute to quality of life, and this would attract quality workforce. Lastly, let's look briefly at some of the methods which we'll be seeing in the facility location. We shall deal in detail with all of these 6 methods, to name the dimensional analysis method, factor rating method, load distance method, simple median method, center of gravity method, and break-even analysis method. We'll be dealing with all of these one by one in our subsequent videos. To just give an introduction, let me tell you that dimensional analysis method is used when we have just 2 locations. We compare the relative merit out of the 2 locations based on various factors and giving importance to each of these factors. Same is the case with factor rating method. We list down the factors, we rate them, we weigh those factors, and we compare. But the difference from the previous one, that is dimensional analysis method, is that in factor rating method we can have as many number of locations as we want. It's not confined to just 2. Coming to load distance method, simple median method, and center of gravity method, all of these 3 methods are based on the distance or the proximity factor. These are all based on the distance from either the market or from the existing locations and so on. And the method is that we will take the map of the region where the existing and the prospective locations are marked and place them or superimpose them on a grid. We'll take the relative distance of these and use different methods to find the most suitable location. Break-even analysis, as the name suggests, is based on the economic considerations. We see which of the location is most viable economically and we select that as our most suitable location. Well, so that's all we have in this session. In the upcoming sessions, we'll be dealing with various methods. Keep watching our videos at www.edupediaworld.com. Thank you.